So I'll go ahead and start it. We'll do what we can. The first order of business of both of our audit and independent audit, and I'll let Phoebe explain what those are just as soon as I see if we've got anybody from the community citizens wanting to speak. Nobody here. So Phoebe, would you kind of explain the two differences and why they're that way, so that everybody understands? Then I'll let everybody introduce themselves.
Yes, so we have an internal audit committee, which is made up of solely of county commissioners. And then we also have an external audit committee, and that is made up of professionals in the city, within the county, so that they can review our financials, make sure there's nothing that they see out of the ordinary, give them an opportunity to review the financials, have any questions, that type of thing. So this is a reporting mechanism for us just to keep everyone kind of in the loop and making sure that we're all on the same page, and as well as meeting state requirements. So having that internal and external audit committee is a requirement of the state, so that's why we have both.
So just to highlight a little the political side of it, 10, 15 years ago, the state said they wanted audits done on county commission government in general. And so they came out with guidelines for an audit committee that happened to result in the county commission side. And then, I don't know, the next year, they said, well, that was too political. So the state legislators said, let's get an external, let's get just men and women in your community with CPA or had that designation similar to that, which they could get another set of eyes. What we have done over the last 2 or 3 years, bond council says that is agreeable to do. We try to get them both together, number one, for our staff, so we don't have to do this twice, and number two, that the two sides can hear each other's questions and answers, and Jamie can record them accordingly. Okay? So with that, Royce, would you start off the introduction? We'll go around the room so that Jamie can get them into the minutes and pick up the staff at the same way.
Okay. My name is Royce Ray. I work with Blankenship CPA Group. I live here in Williamson County, and been on this board here for about 3 years now, maybe 4.
Thank you.
I'm Kerry Perkinson. I'm a retired banker. I asked Rogers why he wanted a banker. He said, I want a banker. So anyway, I'm not a CPA, but I've been on this board, I guess, since the day it started. And Sarah?
I'm Sarah Bullock, and I'm one of the county attorneys.
And I know this doesn't have to go into the meeting minutes, but we wish Sarah, the time we meet again next year, I won't be here, the county commissioner won't be here, and Sarah will bring forth into the world at least one new baby that can fill our spot. So we say congratulations to her. And it is due in June or July?
June.
June.
Awesome.
All right. Come on in, Brian.
Hello, very exciting. Well, Brian, it's time you can introduce yourself. Oh, yay. Here you go.
I'm Brian.
He's one of our county commissioners that serve on the county commission side, not the independent side.
And I'm Pete Strasser. I'm a county commissioner. I'm not a CPA, but my father's a CPA. My wife's a CPA, so helps a little bit, I guess. We'll see if I learned anything.
Osmosis.
That's right.
And I'm Phoebe Riley, and I'm the Director of Accounts and Budgets, and these are our financials.
And behind us we have one of you.
Yeah, Leslie Mitchell, the purchasing director, and I'm Lori Darden, finance manager.
All right. So with that being said, last year, actually in March, we're having this meeting about the same time. We had a meeting, went over that. We have no other minutes. We very rarely meet unless there was something on the audit we need to get clarification of. But I do need to have a motion to accept the minutes that were put out on March 27th, 2025. I'll entertain that.
So moved.
Accept.
Second.
Thank you. And I will need one from your side, even though Paul's not here. Paul's the chairman. If one of you give me a motion in a second, we'd appreciate it.
Second.
Second. Now, who's the first? Carrie, is that you?
I guess I'm the first.
You're the first, Carrie. So any questions on the independent audit and committee meeting we had last year? None, ready to vote? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Let the record reflect it passed on both. I'm going to flip this just a little bit. Phoebe, would you take us through the audit? They've all had it emailed to them. I know these guys have, and I assume you have. We did have a finding or two, so Phoebe would take us through that.
Yes, thank you, sir. So the first thing I would like to bring your attention to is you may have noticed in our, I know you have these pages memorized, but in Exhibit B, where it shows our statement of activities to our net position. So we had a restatement of our beginning net position, so the previous fiscal year's restatement of that number. So being effective as we do, as you all are familiar with, we have new pronouncements and statements that are implemented and requirements that we have to put into place. So we did have a GASB Statement 101 that went into effect 6/30 of 25. So for that, I will instead of using acronyms, so that stands for our Government Accounting Standards Board. And they issued Statement 101. It was for compensated absences. So basically we had to go back and accrue those that were more likely to be used. We had not been putting that on our balance sheet in our net position. So that did affect our net position and drop that a little bit, because moving forward we have to show that as a liability on our books to net position. Now that is not reflected within our individual funds. That is only on the government-wide statement. So that's why you see it in Exhibit B rather than under the different fund balance sheets.
So Phoebe, would that basically just be a balance sheet item and not a
It is.
P&L item?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So that's why it did change, and you will see that, but we had to make that, we had to adjust it as of 7/1 to implement that statement. So going forward, you'll not see that reinstatement again. But that was for compensated absences, and so that is a portion that the county has to estimate how much we intend or anticipate being used by June 30. So I did want to make that point because it does show out there, and it does show a little footnote, and I wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. So the only finding that the county did receive this year is we did have a cash shortage of $20,881. It was in the general fund. So we had basically a theft that occurred. It was affected my department. So I'm will be happy to answer any questions and tell you how we have remedied this moving forward. But there was a check that was issued to a vendor. So it was just a regular check in the course of business. Somewhere along the way, we have no way of knowing and have not uncovered any other evidence, but the check was intercepted either after it left this building or even at the site of the vendor. The check was what they call washed. And so the name on the check was removed and an individual's name was put in their place. Also with that is they changed the amount. So obviously the check was written for $881. They added a 20 in front of it. So that check went through, cleared the bank. We did not find it until our reconciliation of our bank statement that month. As you all know, we don't receive bank statements until the middle of the month, end of the month for the previous month. So that reconciliation did not find that missing check and that missing money until after it had already cleared the bank. Immediately we notified the bank. They tried to do what they could, and we also immediately filed a police report. So I filed a police report that day, and we tried to put into work everything that we could to recoup that money. Unfortunately, we were not. And as the last that we heard from the sheriff's office and the detective is it was traced back to the individual on the name. However, that person was also having issues because that person's identity it was an identity theft. So it wasn't even that person. So then the trail kind of bounced between multiple states. The check, we do have in place something that's called positive pay. In the banking industry, you may be more familiar with that. So what that means is we upload our file when we issue the checks. We also upload the file of everything that's been issued, obviously, for that check run. So we did that. We followed that procedure. So when the bank gets any type of exception, if it goes through their system and they flag a different amount from what our report says or anything unusual, we receive an exception back into my department. At that time, someone needs to go in and say yes or no to that check. Unfortunately, inadvertently, the box for yes was checked when the others were also checked. There were multiple that day, and I cannot tell you if it was just you select a box and you selected 3 and that one should have been skipped and it wasn't. So therefore, because we had an opportunity to reject that payment, the banking institution would not cover it. So they could not do anything with me on their side, so I was not able to recover the funds through the banking system for any kind of security. That's kind of how it happened. Trying to replace that, we did have internal controls in place. Obviously, the positive pay file, the receiving the exceptions, all of reconciling of the check, the bank account. I have found that some of those controls needed to be moved up a little sooner so that we had the opportunity to maybe discover these things a little quicker. Because by the time we found it, the check had cleared, the account had been closed, so the bank couldn't pull it back from the check or from the account where it had been closed. They were closed, they were gone, they had moved on to another person, and I'm sure another unfortunate victim of both of the identity theft and the company. So in order to try to remedy that and keep us, because there's always going to be that room for human error, with every control, there's only so much we can do. There's only so much you can do.
It's fraud.
Yes, so we have changed that a little bit, changed up our procedures internally in my department a little bit, and I have ensured and we have added a second person. So any exception that comes through goes through 2 eyes instead of 1. That way, in case someone hits a button inadvertently, the next person can catch it and we can do that reversal in time. So again, same person who may have overlooked it has caught multiple before. This isn't the first exception we've received. It's not the first theft attempt we've had. It's just the one that got through. So that is my explanation and comments. And if you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate. I'll take all of those. But that is the only finding. We have made that correction. Previous finding was the school department. Last year's finding was the school department. They corrected that. So the school did not have any findings. Obviously, they're on spring break this week, so they're not with us. But I was sure that I could cover for them since they didn't have anything really negative to say on their side. So if there's any questions with the numbers or procedures or anything like that, I'd be happy to take those if you guys.
Questions? Brian? Any?
What does that look like on your side when you see the positive pay verification? What kind of details do you get to see?
So when we send it, when we originally send the positive pay, it will list all the vendors with all the amounts for everything.
Does it say name?
It does.
Amount?
It does.
Okay.
So it has a very specific name, amount, date, check number, everything. So when that exception, when they come through, sometimes we'll get exceptions for maybe the check number didn't read correctly or something like that. And so those are just kind of things that you can, click on and yes, we want that paid because it was an actual check. When they send that back over, it will say exception, And then someone has to log in to see what that exception is. And then once they log into the banking system, then they have an opportunity to pull it up and say, oh, that name doesn't match what's in my system for that name. And then unfortunately, that just didn't happen.
Okay, so like if I was looking at it, I could see the name in the amount at any time.
Yes.
And so the person in your office, was it a brand new person? Was it somebody that's been there a while, or what is it?
It is someone that has been here a while.
Okay,
It is someone that has had that, been in charge of that procedure for a while, for many years. So we do not see, so it's one of those things, you pull up on the banking side and you see the name and the amount and all the information. And then what we would need to do on our side is pull up our accounting software, obviously, to make sure that it matches what's in that system. And that was just, and I unfortunately can't say because we don't know if it was just one of those, we saw it and didn't mean to check the box and did, or if the procedure was just skipped altogether. Because as I said, there were others that were selected and there was others that were selected no, but this one wasn't.
There was an indication there was training involved in your curative. What do you do in
Yes.
that regard?
So we actually did, I did reach out to the banking system because that is not something that I do every day to go in to see those exceptions. And so I actually sat in on the training myself to make sure that I know what they see. So we did, myself, my finance manager, and the individual in the office that is in charge of the procedure. We all went through training. We went through the process again with the bank. Their fraud person let us know and kind of gave us a little insight on what to look for. So they kind of gave us a little bit more detail of, if you see this, question that, if you see this, and then went through the whole process again. If you see, what do you do? Do you check this box? Do you select this? Do you, going through that step? They actually said that it was a very good fake. Did not make me feel very much better, but
You
I
were up
did.
against professionals.
Yes, I did appreciate that she said that, but unfortunately, that doesn't make you sleep better at night. But we did go through that training again. We did go through some internal department training on internal controls, why we process things, why we do the steps we do, why we reconcile, why it is important to check every check, not just take those for granted. We do have a few vendors that we have some large amounts that go out on a check, and we want to make sure that everyone understood that you can't take that for granted just because you see a big number. It may be for that vendor and it may be the same amount, but we still need to verify every time we see any exception. So we did go through an internal process, training, meeting with not just that staff member, but all of my staff, just in case. Because it is important that they also know how thefts can occur so that they do not take anything for granted.
Yes, ma'am.
how many of these do you have to look at in a day?
It varies. Sometimes, we may not have any for weeks, and then we may have 5. And then we have, so it really just varies.
Okay,
So it is truly what gets flagged by the bank and what comes back through.
so in your software program, if you click it, does it automatically go away on your screen, or?
Yes, in the banking side, once you select it, it's gone. So if you select yes, it disappears, and
So you don't get another shot at it?
no, you pretty much need to be very diligent on the front end.
Right, is there any way the bank could give you, for that second person to
Right.
actually do the same job and
They
without
can.
it going away?
They can, so they can still pull it up. So there is a time. So we have a time limit on when we can say yes and no things to now. So I've asked them if someone doesn't go in and give that approval of yes or no by 10 o'clock, they are to automatically deny payment. Because I have found it's much easier to ask for forgiveness and reissue a check that should have been cashed rather than trying to go find another. So the second person does go in and they have the opportunity, they get the same notification. It goes through 2 different emails. So each person gets an email. So each person has an opportunity to pull that check up and verify before it. And if one gets it, then the other one can go in and say, no, that's not. So they are 2 separate notifications.
We're sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah, but you do realize that they're coming to Williamson County because that's where the money's at.
Yes, sir. And again, not that I am making excuses, but we have had larger amounts and attempts through some of our wires. So this is not the largest amount that we have been able to avoid. But unfortunately, it still happened, so.
Is this like the one and only time, or?
This is the one and only time since I have been here.
Okay.
It's a long time.
So we've had some minor thefts in some of our other departments, but it was when we carried a lot more cash on hand. This is the first time that we've had anything through the accounting office and anything to this level.
Other questions?
Why do they call that significant?
Because any theft is significant.
Okay.
So we're required, Royce, on any theft, Phoebe or her staff's immediately required to let the auditor know. It doesn't matter if it's, I guess we wouldn't do it on a penny, but on a dollar.
Yeah.
We automatically notify, and that's been her practice under my administration since we started here. Now, I'll be honest with you, I was hoping to end my career on a clear, clean audit. It didn't occur. We had one last year. Actually, we had 2 last year, if I remember correctly. One we got rectified. So, but I guess the other side of it is, to make Phoebe feel good. She works very diligent, great practice, her and her staff. This one individual just fell asleep at the wheels. There was a notation made in the file. And I guess the other side you got to look at when you're running $1 billion operation here, you get one finding. That's probably not all that bad, but it would have been nice to have a clean audit. So far this year, we're doing good. We haven't, but I'm scared to say that too loud because something could happen overnight.
That was gonna be my next question, is there something else coming down?
No, sir, not that I'm aware of.
Not that we know of.
Not that I'm aware
Now,
of.
we're dealing with a lot of issues on this wood debris, bad weather debris, and we're really having to watch that.
Like what?
We are in the neighborhood now of at least $4 to $5 million worth of extra cost. And I know they were out in your neck of the woods, but we're also finding the neighbors aren't always just cutting down trees done by the ice storm.
Oh, no.
Really?
And so we're having to watch. We have staging areas that we have that is for our FEMA reimbursement money. So I'm a little nervous how FEMA will look across the state at this, how our reimbursement, which won't occur for 1.5 to 2 years down the road. So the rules are written for a particular reason. We have to follow by them. It makes a lot of people mad, but it's not a landscaping improvement on your place that you can just take everything there. And so we've had to correct some practices, and which always causes concern with residents.
Yeah.
So,
I can assure you it was like, it's very expensive to get them to pile it up on the side of the street.
we had one up on one street off of Hillsborough Road. I think it took 12. It took 4 days and a crew of 12 to get it all cleaned up.
Wow.
And it was taller than the first floor. And our ag center, we were on the 2nd and 3rd levels, piled up more than 1 story. I mean, there's a lot going on out there. So we're trying to follow the rules, follow the procedures, public safety, solid waste. Every 2 or 3 days, we talk, and highway department, talk.
I mean, just on my, just in my little house alone, it was like $6,000 that I wrote a check for to get it hauled to the street. And, then, you know, cause I mean, I could have never hauled that into the back of my truck. And so
Well, Katie could.
Katie could do it. Katie could do about anything, but little Royce Ray can't. But we're very thankful.
Appreciate it. So we've had a motion and a second to approve. Do we vote?
Not yet.
We have not voted. Any other questions, comments? All in favor signify by,
But we need a motion first.
oh, you don't
Make
have
a motion.
I have one more thing.
Yes, sir.
Before we do that. Back here, they always keep coming at best practice,
Yes.
you know, like consolidating this.
Yes.
That always seems to be a part of this.
That is always a part of this, and that would change the private act and the act that we follow. And again, that would have to become from our county commission to approve to change that and to change our act that we currently fall under.
Has the state really said anything about why they think that would be better for us? You know, they come through with all of this,
better for them.
really.
Sure it is.
I mean, it would, so basically, we are separate, the School Board of Education and ourselves, you know, we're separate, but we're not. So they have their own accounting, own financial. So what that would do would merge the two. So there are a few counties that do fall under that, and they have one system for both. We do separate the two.
Yeah, they just keep saying, we strongly believe that this is the best practice, you know, and it's significantly gonna improve accountability and the quality of services. And I'm going, okay, I don't know, I hadn't talked to the auditors, I don't know what that means.
I don't know how many years now I've been doing this, but they do this every year.
Every,
Everything.
they really want county gut general and schools to be one.
Okay.
So it would combine our finance departments, our purchasing departments, so we would be under one umbrella. We have a wonderful relationship, I feel, our finance department with theirs, with the Board of Education. They have a wonderful staff, and they know what they need, and they know the details, because even their purchasing falls with those little nuances that are a little bit special because they are under a Board of Education. So, again, it is a matter of opinion, whether you feel that should go under one person, or is it better to have the two separate financial directors so that they can, you know, be a little more hands-on with those financials. But again, preference.
Make decisions on the spot.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions? Now, I entertain a motion to accept the 24-25 audited financial report as being presented. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Proper motion second. Give it to Carrie on second. Oh, that's right. I'm in two committees.
Yeah.
Proper motion second by Pete, motion by you, and seconded by Roy.
Second.
There we go. All right, everybody knows we're voting on it. What are we voting on? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it unanimous from both committees. Any other questions? Well, I thank you all for being here. Anything else on your part?
No, sir.
Anybody? Ready? I'll entertain one more motion, Brian.
Adjourn.
There you go. There you go.